Hold up, before you get to watching this video, let me talk to you for a second. Hit that bell down below and subscribe to the Fitz Take Podcast YouTube channel so you'll know when every episode is dropping or if something has been posted on this page. Also, be sure to follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. Now back to the episode.
LSU suffers their second loss here on the season. Their first in SEC play. You just watched it right there. 38-23, and a loss that Brian Kelly is definitely not going to be happy about. Elijah, I know we've been on here for a minute, man, but just why was it that LSU wasn't able to pull this game out?
Simply because they couldn't run the ball effectively. Garrett Nussmeier throwing the ball 50 times. It's not a formula of winning football, no matter what level you're on. I don't care if it's Pee Wee. I don't care if it's high school. I don't care if it's NFL level. You're not college or NFL. You're not going to throw the ball in 50 times and win a football game. You have to establish the run. The clock is something important. That's something that, I know the regular season, we don't talk about it, but playoff football is played because you have to beat the clock. And they didn't put Texas A&M under any pressure at all. Even when they were down 17-7, Texas A&M, when they were down 17-7, there was no pressure for them to play, for them in this ball game to be like, hey, you know what? We need to score. We need to score fast. No, they took their time. They took their time because LSU made this the long game. You made it a long game by not running the football. Now I know that the football. When you guys were running the football, it wasn't effective. But at the same time, you still have to keep the defense honest, and you still have to somehow use that clock. So get creative with running the football, whether it's jet sweeps, toss plays. They kept running the same old draw, like the same old power. It's not it, man. You're not going to get it done with the same plays over and over. So again, LSU, man, special teams was a big one in this one as well, but LSU made this game longer than it had to be.
No doubt about it, man. I don't know if you guys will see it, but they're in the chat. We placed the call-in number. You can call in and voice your opinions about this LSU loss here. Keep it clean. Keep it. We don't want to get our page restricted at all. But if you got any thoughts, the number's down there in the chat on Facebook there, and also on my YouTube channel. We'll pin it there at the top of the chat. This unfortunately was just LSU not being able to get that run game going. Garrett Nussmeier, unfortunately, having one of his worst games of this season, throwing 3 interceptions. And because of the lack of the running game, he just wasn't able to have any relief. He threw the ball 50 times, completed 25, so that's just a 50% completion. That's not conducive to winning a football game. You look at the stat sheet and you'll say he threw for 400 yards, but if you look at the game trends of everything, it was because essentially mid-third quarter, they weren't running the football anymore. Your defense held up as best they could until Marcel Reed, and credit to Mike Elko for having the wherewithal, the thought process to even say, let me make a quarterback change and mess it up on this defense so bad to where they won't be able to adjust to it. Because he was able to do that, that is what ultimately shifted the momentum in the game before Texas A&M even got their offense really rolling. I think that set the precedent, and then from there, the fact that LSU couldn't run the football is what made them have to scramble to figure out what to do. There's only so many ways that you can throw the football. There's only so many concepts that you can pass the football with, and that just is ultimately what held LSU back from getting back into this ball game. And then, not to mention, what did they score? One other touchdown there in the second half, I think it was, that whole time. Because LSU only scored one touchdown in the whole second half. They scored 17 in the first half. They scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then after that, that was pretty much it. Meanwhile, Texas A&M scores 14 in the third, 17 in the fourth, and that was truly the difference maker. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we do have a call-in number there in the chat for you to be able to call in, voice your opinions by how you feel about this LSU loss. and what you think of this, what this will do for LSU season, their college football playoff hopes, and all of those things along those lines. Um, Elijah, I guess when you look at where they're ranked now, they're number 8. They lose to the number 14 team in the country. How far in the AP polling will they fall? And then also, what does this look like for the college football playoff committee to try to justify putting LSU in the top 12 if they even think to do that?
The only way, I mean, I don't, I don't know, man. I mean, the only way you could keep them in the top 12 because I mean, I know Alabama lost 2, but they lost 2 conference games. So I think that if you want to, you can still keep them in front of Alabama. So if Alabama's 13, then you have to put LSU 12. But um, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can keep them in the top 12. Unless for that reason only, because again, we got some teams that only lost once. Um, that was behind them, and that probably have the rightfully reason to jump in front of them after a loss like this. Again, do I think LSU is completely out of it? No, but they have to win out still. I mean, win out here would have been definite, but win out still is still a question mark because you never know how the committee's going to think. Um, we've seen things like Florida State missing the playoff last year, even though finishing undefeated. Again, they lost their quarterback. That's what hurt Florida State. But you never know how this committee thinks, man. So LSU just got to really just play their best football, hope and wish on a star. Because other than that, you never know, especially with how other teams are playing right now.
Yeah, I don't even know what would be I don't even know what the run would have to be in order for LSU to get in, excuse me, into the SEC championship game. A&M is at the top. After that, you got Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and then LSU now, according to ESPN. Um, Georgia owns the tiebreaker over Texas. But then if Texas beats Texas A&M to close out the regular season, now you're talking about all these teams having 1 losses. Do you have a Georgia Texas SEC championship game? If you do, I don't know if there's a way for LSU to make it out of there. You're almost hoping that Texas A&M loses to South Carolina, Auburn, and Texas. You're hoping that Georgia loses to Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida, maybe even Georgia Tech. And you're asking Tennessee to lose to Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State. That's, I mean, in a perfect world, that's what you're looking at. You're looking for all the dominoes to fall in your favor. And unfortunately, they weren't able to line up for themselves there in the eyes for LSU, which is it's unfortunate because they have all the talent to do it. I mean, we saw Aaron Anderson. I believe he had more than 100 yards receiving. Seeing a guy like that play big in a moment in a game like this was huge. Yeah, Aaron Anderson had 3 catches for 126. Kyron Lacey with 5 catches, 106. But when you combine the fact that you had 23 carries for 24 yards, that's just unacceptable, man. That's 1 yard a carry. That means that you're legitimately taking the handoff and just falling forward, or you're getting stalemated there at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Texas A&M was known for the pressures that they like to bring, how their defensive line was able to get there and make Garrett uncomfortable. Originally, that's what LSU was doing to Connor Wegman, and like I said earlier, credit to Mike Elko for having the forward thinking, the wherewithal to say, let me make this quarterback change and go ahead and make the switch in order to give my quarterback or give my team a better opportunity to make plays. I see Daryl down there saying LSU and ULM both got handled in the second half. Yeah, I saw that, and it's running down in the ticker. ULM took a big loss there earlier today to South Alabama, which now sets up a matchup in 2 to 3 weeks between UL and South Alabama that'll essentially be for the West. Because Arkansas State, I think, has 2 losses in the West. South Alabama, like I said, I don't think I think they have 1.
But if they beat UL, then they could, take over. Excuse me, in that top spot. Like I said, y'all, we got the phone line open. Ain't nobody. These folks must be hot, boy. They don't want to say nothing.
They don't want to say nothing about LSU, man. I don't blame. I don't blame him. Give up a 10-point lead. Garrett Nussmeier went from, I think, throwing 200 yards in the first half to about 50 in the second.
Yeah. He threw it 26 times in the first half, and then 50 or up to 50 in the second half. So that's, God, my brain is kind of, it's 24 passes there in the second half. I mean,
I was talking about 50 yards. I don't know how many yards he had in the second half.
Oh, talking about passing. He had 259 at halftime. He finished with 405. Now you finna make me pull out my calculator.
Okay, yeah.
He threw for 146 yards in the second half. So, like I said, man, a lot of it was just that A&M brought pressures, and they were able to get back there and take him off of his spot and mess him up. Do you, like, if you're, Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, what are you trying to figure out how to do when it comes to, like, figuring out the run game? Are you, obviously you have your playbook and you're going to call what you call, but like, what are you looking to do now to mix things up a bit?
Probably different formations, putting them under center. Because I know the pistol formation is what they like to use, a shotgun. They like to use that as well. So I'll put them under center a little bit more. Or like I said, you got to get the receivers involved, man. I'm not sure how many carries Durham had, but even if you give him about 20 carries a game, that's probably sometimes too much on a running back legs. And then Josh Williams, I know he compliments him very well, but sometimes Josh Williams can't find the hole. So I think at the end of the day, man, you have to, start using your receivers in the run game. It's only going to work out in a positive way, because if you got the linebacker shifting, now that because they use motion in basically every play. If you got them shifting, now you can get them shifting some more and still come behind with another run. And that can open up another hole where you don't have to worry about the offensive lineman missing an assignment or missing a block or anything. Your motion actually opens up things for the running back. So using your receivers a little bit more in the run game, I think should be something talked about as they head into next week.
Yeah, something got to get figured out, man. Caden Durham had 11 touches, 15 yards. Josh Williams had 7 carries for 23 yards. Again, just not conducive to winning football games, especially in the SEC. And in general, man, you can't expect a quarterback to throw the ball 50 times and think that he's going to win the ball game unless you're completely in a shootout and nobody has good defense and it's just any man's ball game. But when you're down, when your defense is, getting hammered by the run game, especially with a dynamic quarterback like what Marcel Reed was able to do for the Aggies, it puts you in a compromising situation. Like we said at halftime, running the football cuts the game in half, because now instead of that 3-4 minute drive that you normally would have scored on passing it, now that drive might be 6 to 8 minutes. Now you talking about a 15-minute quarter. Now it's knocked down to 9 minutes, or if you get it somewhere in the middle, now it's 3-4 minutes left in the quarter. It cuts the game down, keeps your defense off the field, and then it puts pressure on the opposing offense to say, okay, we ain't got much time. They hold the ball a long time. Now we got to go ahead and score. That's what Texas A&M was able to do. They had drives that they were able to sustain, and because of that, they were able to get the run game rolling, and LSU just got worn down. The defense got worn down. Again, credit to the Aggies. Hold up. Whoever it was, they hung up. Somebody rang that phone. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a phone line. If you get our first one. You calling into the Fitz Tech podcast. Who we speaking with?
Hi, this is Nicholas LeBlanc.
How you doing, brother? What you got?
Good. How about yourself?
It's all good, man.
Man, seems like tonight it's that LSU had to face their own Jaden Daniels, and they were not prepared for that. And all the hate goes to Brian Kelly, and I'm sure he deserves some of the blame, but it is very hard to prepare all week for a starting quarterback who gets benched.
Yeah.
And now you have to face this two-dimensional running quarterback, and that defensive coordinator for LSU has to adjust to that. And bad kicking by the kicker, bad preparation by the holder. It's just a bad situation to overcome, in my opinion.
Absolutely. You know, we didn't even talk about it a few minutes ago. Like you said, like special teams didn't help you. You're missing out on 2 field goals that you should have had. So then you're talking about close to 30 points. You went for 2 there and you didn't get it. So that's 2 more points. So you're missing out on a couple of points that you should have had in this ball game. But all of those things tied in together kind of makes it tough.
Definitely.
So anything else you got, my man?
It makes me wonder if this was the playoff game, the playoff elimination game. You know, I was hoping that LSU and Alabama would keep those wins going, and when we got to the LSU versus Bama game, that would be this is the playoff elimination game. But this game puts a killing on everything.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you for calling in, sharing your thoughts here as LSU falls to Texas A&M. Hopefully they can turn things around. We appreciate you for calling in.
Thanks for the call.
Like we said, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. As long as you keep it clean, the phone lines are open. So if you keep it like that, we'll be on for just a couple of more minutes because this stream has been, in total, on Facebook, it hadn't been that long. But in total, guys, we have been live streaming for 4 hours. We were on for the entire game. We cooked right now. I can't lie. Yeah, man. Like he said, I think this could very well have been the elimination game. This could have been the game that knocks LSU out of the playoff picture. I think they will fall to as low as 13, which was back to the position they started at the beginning of the season. Yeah, it's frustrating. Like my man said, you know, you game plan all week for a pocket passer, and you get out there and you facing Jaden Daniels. That's a tough situation. That's a tough situation.
I think this guy went like 2 for 2 in the game, huh?
Talking about throwing?
Yeah.
2. Yeah, he only threw 2 passes. So you faced another running back. You faced another running back.
Like 2 for 2 for like 70 yards.
Yeah, 2 for 2, 70 yards. On the ground, the Aggies had 49 carries for 242 yards, 5 scores. Amari Daniels had 12 carries for 91 yards. Le'Veon Moss, 14 carries for 83 yards. Marcel Reed off the bench, 9 carries, 62 yards. Like, bro, what you supposed to do with that? Like, you can try as hard as you can, but man, man, that's hard. You game plan for so much, and you get in this position, and it didn't work out for you. Phone lines are still open, ladies and gentlemen. The number is pinned down there in the chat, but you know what? I'm gonna help folks out because I know they probably like, well, we can't see it, so I'm gonna take the number and I'm going to put it in this banner. We're gonna stay on a couple more minutes, y'all. So don't be saying, Jamarcus, you ain't let us get on. Don't be saying that. Because I'm going to say, we was on here for about 15 minutes after the game. There we go. That's a call-in number right there. Call in. Share your thoughts. What are you feeling? How does it feel as a fan? Trying to see what it is that went wrong. What do you do to make it right? As LSU falls to Texas A&M, 38-23. Suffering their second loss of the season, first loss in SEC play, now putting them tied for second, along with Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas as well. A lot of other college football that happened, some good games down the line. Like we said earlier, Alabama putting their foot on their neck of Missouri, essentially going to knock them out of the top 25. Texas skating by a very pesky Vanderbilt team by just 3 points. In the Sun Belt, South Alabama running away with things against ULM 46-17. Saw Miami beat Florida State. What's going on out there, man? My goodness. I mean, from the jump street, the beginning of the game or beginning of the season, nothing was working for them, and now they're
Florida State's in a weird spot. They were good last year, but I think they lost everybody. So it's a weird spot. Just a weird spot. Like I said, Florida State lost everybody, but the ACC is real tricky to me. Florida State will have a year, then Miami will have this year, then Clemson will have another year. Who knows? North Carolina will have another year. It's like, the top team is never consistent. I know Clemson had a run for a little bit when Deshaun Watson was there. And after that, ACC is up for grabs. So it always is. SEC is like that too, but the dominant teams usually stay up there for a while.
Yeah.
Alabama, Nick Saban, and then Georgia, they're climbing the ranks. And then, LSU sprinkle in and in. So it's like the dominant teams and the LSU rotates as well, but at the same time, for the most part, they stay the top of the top. ACC, you never know. Like Duke can win the ACC next year.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
Yeah, you never know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we gave y'all a shot. We had one caller in, but man, we wore out. So LSU falls to Texas A&M 38-23, suffering their first loss in SEC play, second loss of the season. The first loss that they had is now an ugly one with USC, having a losing record, I believe. It's going to be tough. We'll talk more about this on the Fitz Take podcast that will air on. Y'all playing around, man. Y'all playing around. Y'all call it. What's up? Y'all playing around now. Hop off the stream now. I'm finna hop off the stream, brother. We will talk more about this on the Fitz Take podcast. We'll be recording this episode tomorrow afternoon, and it will air on Monday at 2 p.m. If you're on YouTube, smash the subscribe button. If you've been kicking it with us this entire time, we appreciate you because it's been a journey for sure. Hit the subscribe button. If you're on Facebook and you're watching, subscribe to the Fitz Take podcast. It should be down there in the description of the post. Like we said, guys, we truly appreciate y'all for tapping in with us here during this live stream. Elijah, any final thoughts for you, man?
Nah, man. It's tough for LSU to turn the page because it's like we discussed. This could be the season ender for LSU to make that postseason run. So just I don't know. It's tough to say get back to the drawing board, but what you have to do right now.
That's what they'll do. LSU gets back to the drawing board. I believe they have a bye week coming up this week after. Let me double check just to make sure so I can give y'all the information. I like to add my nuggets in here and there so y'all are fully informed about what is the latest. Yes. Wait, what is it? October 26th right now? Yeah, so they will have a bye week. So they're going to go into this weekend licking their wounds, and then they come out and they face Alabama, which now that is a true elimination game because now you're talking about Alabama's probably going to move up just a tad bit, and LSU will move down to the teens. So loser is out of there. Get ready for a bowl game. You'll finish at best 9-3. But LSU has to figure it out. The next matchup is against Alabama after their bye week.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.